Prime Minister makes a pretty convincing case why talks with the Wynn Group collapsed and why his government instead opted to get into the hotel business and temporarily own the Grand Lucayne Resort, all in hopes of selling the 3-hotel property as soon as possible. Our NewsSept20th2018 has the story.
Here's what brought the government to the point it's to today. It first sought to have a private group purchase the Grand Lucayne Hotel. This, however, fell through. You see, in July, the government continued its negotiations with Paul Wynn and another operator to the point of a draft heads of agreement for the Grand Lucayne. However, after giving Mr. Wynn an absolute deadline, Mr. Wynn in turn presented the government with these additional changes to the HOA.
The government must pay its 15% share up front instead of over time, as previously agreed. 2, the government agreed to ensure Paul Wynn is provided with electricity at a reduced 20% discount rate. The government must pay 20% of the electricity rate of the hotel for an investor when many Bahamians' electricity is off. 3, Mr. Speaker, Paul Wynn would be permitted to employ 420 non-Bahamians for work on the project. Never. What would that do to Grand Bahama?
And according to the Prime Minister, those requests didn't end there. There was also the demand for an annual marketing subsidy of $750,000, no casino taxes, a commitment from the government to purchase the Grand Bahama International Airport or build a new one within 2 years, and pay for any losses that Paul Wynn incurred and guarantee him 7% return. All things considered, the government made it clear that the requested concessions could not be agreed. Yet the Grand Lucayne had to be saved. Having already made a $10 million down payment on the property, the government is seeking to pass a resolution guaranteeing a $35 million loan to complete that purchase.
We could let the Lighthouse Point, the last remaining open section of the hotel, to close. This would lead to the economic collapse of much of Freeport, with even higher unemployment, greater despair, and a loss of hope for many Grand Bahamians for many, many more years. In essence, Mr. Speaker, we could sit idly by and watch the Grand Lucayne sink into a state of disrepair, becoming a ghost town, like the once vibrant but now dying International Bazaar.
Dr. Minnis says while he understands the concern and reluctance, he and his government are convinced that they are doing the right thing. And to its newest employees, the government assured that the existing union agreement and employee contracts continue. For JCN News, I'm NewsSept20th2018.
Now, sooner rather than later, the government is hoping to sell the hotel property. But according to Prime Minister, the idea is not to just recruit an investor just for a quick sell.
There are a number of entities that have expressed serious interest in purchasing the Grand Lucayne property. And indeed, discussions have begun with a number of individuals for the sale of the said property. The board recognizes that its responsibility is to do more than ensure a swift sale of the Grand Lucayne. The board recognizes, Mr. Speaker, that it has the responsibility to identify a well-funded group with a vision to create a sustainable tourism destination to whom the asset can be assigned in an outright sale.
Endorsing the resolution, Tourism Minister too stressed the resort's importance to Grand Bahama's economic state.
It would be an act of sheer cruelty and neglect toward the people of Grand Bahama for the government to idly stand by and let the Grand Lucayne, a prime hotel property, go the way of the Royal Oasis. Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a quick reference to the Royal Oasis comparison. The Royal Oasis closed its doors sometime in 2004. It remains closed today. The International Bazaar, which adjoins the hotel, is now a ghost town, full of derelict and abandoned buildings. Its state of near total disrepair is proving that once you make the fatal mistake of allowing a hotel to close, it is very, very difficult, if not impossible, to get it reopened.
He then fired back at the PLP by pointing out a quote made back in 2008 by then PLP opposition MP Fred Mitchell, who said that the government should have considered purchasing the Royal Oasis Resort.
The F&M government was chastised by Mr. Fred Mitchell, the then opposition PLP MP for Fox Hill, to do more, and was quoted in the Nassau Guardian of the 16th of August 2018 as saying that back in 2008, and I quote, the F&M government ought to consider taking special measures to ensure that the Oasis property in Freeport is open, including buying and developing it if necessary, to put people back to work.
The minister went on to offer up the assurance that the administration will not be timid in making a decision.
In making a decision deemed unpopular in many quarters, the government will act decisively in the best interest of the people of Grand Bahama and the people of the Bahamas. The numbers reveal a tourism sector that has received some traumatic body blows, and we were elected in overwhelming numbers to do what is necessary to reverse the trend.
Mr. Diagler says reopening the Grand Lucayan Resort isn't just about the hotel, but about the prosperity of the nation. For the opposition, the Grand Lucayan deal is not all the government purports it to be. Leading off that side's contribution to the resolutions debate, Progressive Liberal Party Chief Philip Davis blasted the acquisition as desperate, ill-advised, and an inadequate band-aid approach to address the state of Grand Bahama's economy.
In our view, it is another bad deal like the ill-advised and scandalous Oban affair. That's why I call upon us to commit here today. No more bad deals for Grand Bahama.
The PLP is demanding the government come clean with what the deal is costing Bahamians.
That scandalous Oban deal is a matter on which this government is yet to come clean to the Bahamian people. And here again, this deal is being clouded in secrecy. And we demand that the side opposite comes clean on this deal to the Bahamian people.
The PLP says they would have supported a bailout with regard to the beleaguered resort.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.